So without further ado, welcome. We're so delighted to have you all here. And it's an amazing, every time I'm just so delighted by this international tapestry that is circus arts. And you've all just epitomized that by virtue of describing what it is that you do and where you're from. So welcome to everybody. I'm Stacy Clark, CEO of CircusTalk. I am a white cis woman in my early 50s. I have a medium sporty build and I have blonde shoulder length hair. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm wearing a purple shirt today. I would like to begin by acknowledging that this CircusTalk Pro Talk is being hosted on unceded Indigenous lands. The Ga-Nyungahaga Nation is recognized as the custodians of the lands and waters on which I live today. Tiohtià:ke, Montreal, that's in Canada, is historically known as a gathering place for many First Nations. Today, it is home to a diverse population of Indigenous and other peoples. We respect the continued connections with the past, present, and future in our ongoing relationships with Indigenous and other peoples in the Montreal area, and certainly well beyond. In support of those relationships, I invite you to visit the Indigenous Performing Arts Alliance at ipaa.ca. This is a leadership support, representation, advocacy, practical assistance organization, essentially, that supports the national development of Indigenous performing arts. Now, this is a Canadian organization, so of course, you're welcome to research it, but I would very much encourage you to do the same in your part of the world. So, without further ado, it gives me a tremendous pleasure to welcome Sandra Wawer from GOP. And in true Pro Talk fashion, I'm not going to talk about Sandra, she is. So my warm welcome. I pass you the torch. I pass you the mic.
Thank you very much, Stacy. Thank you for having me. Thank you all for coming at this late hour for some of you. I'm very honored that you came to hear me talk. I'm a little sick, so excuse my voice at some points. I might have to take a glass of water at some point, but I didn't want to miss the opportunity to meet all of you. I am Sandra. I am in my early 40s. I recently became a mother of a wonderful boy. I have long brown hair that turned gray over the last few years, and I'm she, her, and I wear a striped shirt, blue-white striped shirt today. I have started at GOP in the year 2007. After I did my studies of business pedagogics and psychology. And then I realized I was missing somehow some magic in my life. So I quit my studies and I went to Disneyland in Paris because I, on the one hand, wanted to learn more languages. I was always into cultures and languages. And I also wanted to have this magic atmosphere. So I went to Disney. And this was exactly what I needed in my life. I wanted to keep this magic. After I finished there a year, I wanted to find something that gives me the same pleasure of creating magic for people. Because when you work for Disney, some of you might know, you are creating an atmosphere. You are creating an illusion for the people that are coming. And I love that very much. So I was looking for something that gives me the same pleasure of creating magic. And I found GOP. I didn't know something like that existed before. I knew circus, of course, but I didn't know there was another way of arts that was only working with people, not with animals, and that there was a whole world that I didn't explore before. So in 2007, I started my traineeship in event management in GOP. And I stayed there after my traineeship. After I successfully graduated event management, I became the assistant of the artistic director for a couple of years. And then for him, I was responsible for the casting and booking office. And since January, our former artistic director has left and I took over his position. I am very honored. And I had a very, very long time to learn from him. So I was at his side for more than 10 years. So I could really know how the GOP works and what is important for the whole casting processes and for creating shows. And since January, it's in my hands. I have a team of 10 people in the casting office in Hanover. And we do all the shows for all the GOPs in Germany and beyond, because sometimes we do shows in other countries. In general, we have 6 shows per theater. We have 7 theaters, and in each show about 10 artists. So we're working with many people all the time, and it's a lot of fun to create something new every time we go to the theaters. Our shows tour. So we have a show and it goes from one theater to another, not always en suite, but sometimes with intermissions in between. It depends on the cast. Sometimes we have casts that really want to do the whole run in one turn, especially when we work, for example, with Circus Theater Bingo. They don't want to go back and forth. They want to do it all in one. Or when we have Canadian casts, they sometimes in the summertime, they want to do the street festivals. So we do intermissions so they could still do what they need. We really pick our artists individual for the show we are doing. So we really want not only the artistic power to fit the show, but also the personality. So this is why we usually like to know the people we're working with. Most of the engagements come because we meet each other, because we met each other, and because we know how you work. Because for us, it's especially in the way we are doing shows nowadays, it's very important to have team players, to have open-minded people that are ready to jump in different scenes, not only in their own act, but also in between, and help each other. Vivian is smiling. I can see that, you know. So we really need people that are open to go on a ride with us, and on a magical ride, I would say. So we could create something special for our audiences. And this is why we pick artists very carefully. We want them to work well together. We want them to be happy. This is one of our main tasks, of course, to make artists happy, because only if artists are happy, they can perform to 100% for the audiences. So what our job is beyond the casting, we are also the persons to turn to when there's major problems on the run. So when we did the casting and we did the show creation, we go to the theater, we bring the show on stage, then we leave and give it to the hands of the individual theaters. But if something happens, we are still there. Every show has its production manager. And if there's major problems, the artist can turn to the show manager to have the problem solved. Because this is what we need. We need happy and relaxed artists to bring the good show on stage.
I love that you bring that to the forefront, Sandra, because I think that oftentimes the getting of work becomes such a preoccupation that it's easy to forget about what happens next. It's how you live it and deliver it every single day. And so I love the fact that as a company, clearly your culture really supports positivity and wellness and just great humans. I have a question for you.
Yes.
If we back up just a little bit, and you mentioned specifically this idea of getting to know people, you prefer to have a better sense of them as humans, as individuals. How does that happen for people who are very far away in the 4 corners of the globe?
We had in the past, we had a casting show, and we invited artists to come to this casting show and perform so we could meet them. But unfortunately, over Corona, our host quit the casting show, so we couldn't pursue this anymore. But maybe in the future, we will do this again. Of course, when we meet at festivals, I'm always happy to meet artists, approach me, ask me things, introduce yourselves. When I go to end of year shows, I always meet very, very many people. And I'm or one of my colleagues are at different festivals. So we are always happy to meet people. And even if it's short, but you always have a little encounter, you met, and this is worth so much. Also, we cast by videos, but if we have a choice, we usually go for those we have met before.
Great. So pro tip number one, networking, get yourselves out there, see and be seen, do the work to just have that beautiful moment of personal connection so that when your video is being evaluated and considered, there's some type of backstory. And that's not easy for everybody, admittedly. So what would you do in the case, for example, of receiving a dynamite video, somebody whom you feel really represents not just the disciplines, but the manner in which they execute those disciplines, their artistic orientation? Perhaps they do a fabulous presentation to camera as an introduction to their video. Would you put that person genuinely into the mix without having this personal contact?
Absolutely, yes. It really depends. When we do the casting, when we have a show, of course, we think of first of the people we know. So then we write them down who could work for this kind of concept. I have seen a nice video and he was recommended by someone. So if you're talking about networking, this is really crucial. Ask friends. If you know someone who has worked with us, let them recommend you. This is something that really helps. So if somebody who has good relationship with us recommends someone, this can really help. And then you send an email after and you say, okay, my friend Mata recommended me. He worked with you before. Maybe there is a way where we could work together. So networking, do the homework, make sure that you write your emails to the right person. It happens so often that I receive emails that are meant for someone else. They write, I always wanted to work for Palazzo. It is my big dream. And this is really not helping if you're not doing your homework. Make sure the email is addressed to the right person, to the right company. All of this helps when you're only applying by email. But if you have a chance to be recommended or to meet in person, that is always nice. And it's also nice when you are around. We have theaters in many cities of Germany. If you're in Germany somewhere and you are close to one of our theaters, let us know. Say, I'm there. If you're there, it would be nice to meet. And if I can make it, I can go to the theater and we can watch your video together. And then I get a feeling about your personality. That's also nice.
Amazing. That is deeply valuable. And I would say, speaking as a casting director as well, we sort of joke about this idea of the personal attention or the assurances that you're addressing yourself appropriately to the right person, to the right company. You would be amazed at how frequently this happens. Getting work is really hard work. And yes, there might be a fair amount of copy paste around the way you position yourself by way of introduction, but take the time to really find out, do the homework. It's so critical. And unfortunately, it's actually quite a major turnoff if the sense is we're just one of many in a wheel and haven't really been thought about in the way that we want you to think about being part of that company, that cast. You've heard it from Sandra firsthand. Who you are really counts. What you bring, separate even from your artistry and your acrobatic act. It's what you bring as a human. Maybe we can dive into what you like to see in a demo. How is it that you are able to get an understanding of the artist by virtue of the video submissions?
I know many casting directors have different opinions about that. For us in GOP, it's always nice to have a full-length uncut video. No major lights, no special effects, no cuts. Just it doesn't even have to be high quality. It can be a cell phone video, iPhone shot, whatever. It's just important that we can see what you're doing without any cuts in the video. So it's clear that you're not cheating, because if you're cutting and do amazing tricks, it could be that you tried 4 times and only the 4th time it worked. So I prefer from the minute you apply an uncut video and not attached to the email, because sometimes that doesn't go through, because we receive every day about 20 to 40 applications and the mailbox gets full pretty fast. So as a video link, as a YouTube, Vimeo, whatever, attach your video full length uncut. And also already write your availability. That helps so much. Because if you send your video and then you're not available for the next 2 years, I will have forgotten you by the time you are available.
Yeah, key. Timing is everything in this business. I would add, folks, and I'm preaching to the choir, but for other people listening as well, another great place to put your full-length video is in your CircusTalk profile. That's what those profiles are built out to support. So make sure that it's something that is easy for folks to access. And the platform, of course, is one of those options for you. Okay, so that's video. Let's talk a little bit about the DNA of the shows. So what kinds of acts, what kinds of disciplines are you most commonly looking for?
Varieté has a long history in Germany. And we are one of the oldest theaters after the Tigerpalast and Wintergarten. We are one of the oldest variety theaters in Germany. And we do 2 ways of shows. So one is the classical traditional variety show with an MC that usually is either a music comedian or a magician or has some other thing he can do, and then announces the artist and is in a very classical way of show. But we always give it a theme anyway, so it's not old-fashioned, so still modern, but in a classical way. And then we also do the concept shows where we follow a story or a little emotion, or it can be very, very different, really. We do all kinds of shows. It is just important that it works with the team dynamic and with the artistic quality. So first of all, your artistic quality has to be very high, of course. Then it always helps if you have more than one profession. So if you have a second act, or you say, okay, I'm a very passionate singer, or I can play an instrument, or I love to do some dancing, or this kind of stuff always helps, especially in the concept shows, to be considered, because this is what we need. We need something to go into the transitions. For the mixed shows, it's a little easier because there's not so much interaction, but there still is. So we, in our casting office, we said, okay, we only want to work with nice people, and nice people is really something that we need. We need people that are easy to work with. And of course, there are problems happening on a run of 14 months, because this is how long our shows are, or in the future even longer, because we will length the playtime in the theaters. So we will have 21 months after all, when we did the transition. And of course, there will be trouble. And of course, there will be things happening. We need people that just approach us and tell us that something is going wrong without making a big drama of it, or raising team energies. Because of course, something goes wrong and we can fix this, but we just need to talk. And this is what we always tell our artists. Talk to us. We will find a solution. We just don't want to raise a big drama out of it and everyone be unhappy because of a comparably easy to solve thing. And this is something that we really pursue. Work with nice people we know, and always have a mix in our shows of people that come new to the GOP family and older artists that have performed with us before. So the older artists can take the new ones under their wings and explain them how things work. And so we can build a dynamic that is not going in the wrong direction. Did I answer your question now? I think I lost it.
Oh, for sure. No, you are a wealth of information. Like, I don't need to do anything here. You're amazing. So in fact, just to recap, what I'm hearing is, in addition to the performance acumen, let's all assume we're all amazing and unique and you have such incredible things to offer. It still comes back to how you show up and how generous you are and kind. And I just love this idea that the human qualities are right up there with what you actually have to offer as a professional artist. So key for such a close quarters type of lifestyle that we've all embraced. I have to admit, I did not know the contracts were that long, and you're suggesting now that they will grow. I am interested to hear, and perhaps it'll come up in some of your questions in just a few minutes. Is that sometimes an impediment for the artists that you have shortlisted? The people that you're in touch with don't realize that it's such a lengthy commitment. Has it been a problem?
Yes, many times. They ask us then if it's possible to only sign 2 contracts at first, because it's individual contracts, because it's individual theaters. But what we explain them then, it's one offer, because we want to keep a team the same, for the very same reasons. We want to have a good team energy, and changes are always not only for us in the creation team, but also for the team performing on stage is annoying. Change is, you have to get to a new person, you have to find a way to work together. And if there's a good team energy, we always want to keep it. This is our goal. Of course, this doesn't always work. So if there is an artist that we really want to work with, but he is only available for 4 of the 7 theaters, this is not always a reason to not do it. It really depends on the position the artist is going to take and the show we are doing. So there are shows where replacements are easier to work with, and those where they really take a very basic role in the whole storyline, and where I cannot picture to do the show without this very specific artist. And if he's not available then for the whole time, then I would rather find someone else to take the position, but keep him the full time, so we can build the story on him. If the story is not built on the person, but he's just taking a position, it's easier, but still we prefer to keep the same team in all theaters. But we had this problem that they didn't want to sign, or they said, okay, this is until if we do a very long contract and we have intermissions in between, and then it's in 3 years. And then the artists say, well, listen, I don't know where I am in 3 years. Can I just sign the first 2 or the first 3? I would rather not to, because what am I doing then in 3 years if you're not staying with me? Mm-hmm. So if I can, I would like to keep you for the whole run. If it's not possible for various reasons, I have to make a decision if I don't take you at all then, or if I can take you only for a couple of shows.
Thank you. This underscores for me how crucial it is to do the homework, to really understand what you're signing up for, what you're reaching out for, aspiring toward, getting all those nuts and bolts lined up so that you don't get partway down the path and realize, in fact, you're not prepared to commit to such a lengthy contract or whatever the condition might be. Amazing. Okay, I have one more question before I open the floor. And when we do get to that point, just a quick preamble, we'll go the classic, pop up your Zoom hand, and then I'll do my best to sort of navigate, and I'll just call you out and invite you to come off mute. So here's my final question before you guys take it over. And that is, coming through what is essentially just under 3-year pandemic and kind of counting, what has been your biggest learning?
That especially the arts felt very forgotten in this time. Our artists, we tried our best to catch them when they felt like they were falling. We were in very, very close communication with everyone who was waiting if the future contract was going to happen. Of course, we didn't know. But communication was everything in that time. And we know now, since we started again, GOP started very early after the pandemic, after we could again, after the theater closure. The minute we were allowed to play again, we did play again. And we felt like the artists have changed in a way that they ask more of us, because, and I understand that, because they have felt forgotten. They have the feeling that they have now to fight for their rights, because who knows what will happen in the future. And I understand that very much, but from a producer's point of view, this was hard for all of us. And I don't want to compare GOP with the self-employed artists in no way, but it was a hard time for all of us. And just because we can play again, it doesn't mean we have more to offer than before the pandemic. We are a reliable partner. We offer contracts. We offer fair payment. But I have the feeling that the artists want to find safety in asking more now. And that stresses me a lot, because I have not more to offer than I honestly offer you. And I don't play games. When I offer something, this is what I have. And I want artists to know that I will always be honest. I will always be open. But we have to go through this together, even though, of course, as I said, I don't want to compare GOP with self-employed artists, but it was a hard time for all of us and still is. We are all suffering from this time. Still contracts get canceled. Still artists are looking for jobs everywhere. I see that, and we try to help. Then we have the war. We have so many topics right now. So we try to help, and we try to work best possible. Just know we are not enemies. We just want to do great shows together, and what we offer is what we have.
I would find it a stretch to think that anybody puts you in the enemy category by virtue of what you described earlier. And I just love the fact that you are such a straight shooter. We're just so grateful that you're here saying it like it is, because that's exactly what needs to be heard. Okay, folks, it's your turn. Who's going to pop up a hand? There's always that moment of crickets. We can sit happily. Okay, Martin, go for it.
Hi, Sandra. I got a question actually linked to an article I wrote last year about journalists versus specialists. I'm wondering, are you mostly looking for polished acts that are really detail-oriented, that have like their own sound, their own costume, that are like, I know you say like the Varieté classic shows act after act, but let me rephrase.
Yes.
For the artists that you're hiring, are you more into artists that are like the core for every bottle, that are easily interchangeable and can fit many concepts, or do you prefer someone with a signature that has like a distinct look or approach to the scene? So journalists versus specialists, where do you sit?
It depends on the show, really. Of course, it's no question. The acrobatic quality has to be very, very high level. We are always happy when we get to see new acts, new ideas. I have the feeling right now the circus world is, because there's no new disciplines since the Cir. The Cir was the last discipline that was really new invented. And since then, there has not been a great new invention in the circus world. And since there hasn't been, I have the feeling now artists are combining disciplines. And that makes me very happy to see new creative ways of doing circus and doing arts. So I cannot say that I need someone who just fits any concept. I would say I need to be surprised. I want to see something that makes me happy, and that where I already have an idea that this will be magical. Then I see it. I can already in my head see the lights. I can see the story around this. So anything that surprises me is always good. It can be inside the act. It can be a classical aerial act. And just the performance is so surprising that that I like it. Or something new, something that hasn't been done before.
Thank you.
Dynamite. Looks like Wendy has a hand up. Off you go, Wendy.
Hello again. Well, maybe I have a stupid question, but why for us it's too difficult to sell our acts? I mean, we made knives, whips, like dangerous acts, and always is so difficult.
Why? Dangerous acts there are some circuses that are specifically looking for this. I know in Germany, the circus Flick Flacks likes dangerous acts. They like to work with acts that scare the audience. In GOP, we don't like to play with scaring. We had knife throwing, though. We had acts with whips. We had acts with knife throwing, but then it has to be artistically so good that it works with our shows. GOP doesn't work with scaring people. I haven't seen your act. You have to send it to me, then I can tell you.
We are welcome. You are welcome here in Guns, whatever you want. But I don't know. We think we have a really special act and different act. The people sometimes laugh. I don't know. It's so different, but it's so difficult for us to sell.
What in Germany now is a theme, really, especially in our theaters, but I heard other producers talk about this as well, is the choice of music. Many acts nowadays use very heavy music. I don't know about your act, but this is maybe something that is interesting to everyone. We are living in a world that puts a lot of pressure on us. And of course, it's very heavy. And I know that arts sometimes help, especially creative people, to work with their reality and to make it, to digest what they are experiencing in their everyday life. But we all decided that we wanted to do something to make people happy. We are all in the entertainment industry. So I don't want to make this difference between arts and entertainment, because I think that is stupid, but we want to make people happy. And to use music, for example, where it's very dark and only whispering, for example. I heard that so often, whispering speech about topics that are nowadays, of course, in politics, in society, a topic. But this is not what we want our audience to see, because we want to bring them away from this. So we decide to make people come to our theaters to forget about all the mess they are having in their lives for at least 2 hours. And I feel that many artists nowadays are using far too depressing music. So this could be something.
Not us.
Okay. It has to be
what I find
joyful and known. Use known music. People, when you already have a music that people know, they have an emotional connection to this.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Great question. And it sort of calls into discussion this idea that this is a really, really broad tapestry, the world of circus arts. It is, there's so many different genres, there's sectors and disciplines and styles and artistic orientations. And more than anything, I think in the business of being an artist, it's important to know where you fit into that, and having a lot of clarity around what the nature of your work is and how it would suit the very venues, companies, places that you aspire to work. So this homework factor and the fit factor is preeminent for me, finding the place where you can really thrive and be well aligned with what that company is aspiring to do for their audiences. Okay, I have Alexis's hand up.
Hi. I'm going to ask a broad question first. If we are sending things in by email, is there a good kind of timeline to check back in? Are there too many emails? like where it actually gets annoying and it's bugging you?
It's hurting me deeply to say that. And this is a question that, of course, comes every time I'm in a chat with artists. We cannot respond to every email because it's just too much. And there's no excuse for that. We should, because especially when you put effort in your email and did your homework, when the email is good and well prepared, and we should answer. But with 20 emails every day, and the shows taking care of that we have running, plus the ones we are preparing, we sometimes miss the time to really respond to the emails. And sometimes only when we are looking for someone, then we go back to the ones that applicated in the past to us. And then we start the research and watch all the videos. We try to do as much as possible. And then we send out feedback, but there's no excuse really. I'm not trying to. We are bad in this, and I know that all producers have the same problem, that we just cannot respond to every email. I think after a month maybe would be good, because sometimes we have a show transition of 3 weeks, then we are not in the office at all. We are in the theaters bringing the shows on stage. So depending on the time when you send the email, a month would be good to recap and ask again. I have no excuse. It's in the business, it's very common that we just are very bad in this.
Well, that's why I asked like when to follow up, because I think we understand that. And then I have selfishly one very quick personal question. I did the show audition in May 2019.
Broadway.
Yeah, and I was just wondering if you were there and if we met.
I think I was there. There was a few that I missed, especially in 19, because I was sick at that time. But I think I was there. I at least I know your name. I cannot recall what you did, but I know that I read your name somewhere.
Okay. Well, great. Can follow up later.
I will look that up if I was there, and I will let you know.
What did you do, Alexis? Did you perform Cyr?
Yeah, I did Surreal. With a very upbeat song, because I'm also feeling that.
Nice. I will check the video and check if I was there.
Very cool. We do have a question in the chat, which I will go to very quickly, and then I will go back to some. The boxes are bouncing around here, so somebody had their hand up. You'll have to jump back in a second. So, question from the chat: is there a good time of year to submit material?
Not in winter. Winter is the busiest time in the Varieté business. In winter, we are always happy if you send your availabilities, because if somebody gets sick, we need to replace. This is something that we really need. New applications at that time is really hard to watch. In general, just send your application whenever is good for you. In winter, we have just less time than all other time of the year.
Great detailed question. Thank you for that. Was it Laura who flagged? Somebody put their hand up. Go for it. Nothing. Okay, we have premium time here with the artistic director of GOP, and we have 15 minutes to go. So I would invite you all just to take a deep breath. And admittedly, Sandra's done an awesome job preemptively answering lots of questions, but let's make this a rich hour. Pop off mute if you have something to say.
Hey, sorry, I just couldn't find how to raise the hands, like with a sticker.
Got it.
When you were talking before about like original acts and looking for something new, I'm not really sure like what is really new in the Varieté scene, as I'm really new in it myself. How familiar are you with staff juggling?
Staff juggling?
Staff, like 1 meter long sticks. It derives from the Hungarian folk dancing, and then it became like a fire tool. But usually, just fast spinning and all that. But then, like recently, I started developing more into like a juggling tool.
Okay, we have a baton jonglage, like like this long and juggling. One artist in our show does that now. But of course, this is something new, and if it's well made, what we are always looking for is dynamic acts. It's the circus world offers very, very many poetic acts, and these positions in our shows are always taken very fast because there are many great artists that do poetic arts. And what we're missing until the very end of the casting process always is dynamic, because we need to have different energies in the show. And like jonglage, when it's well made, it's always good. But any kind of dynamic acts like like roller skates, like any kind of throwing things or people in the air is always good to have.
Okay, thank you.
Do I have any other hands? Oh, I just saw a hand. Who was that? It went away. David.
Yes, hi Sandra. If I understood correctly, since not too long now you're the artistic director, I was just wondering what's the difference. Are you still involved in the casting process? And what are your big new tasks as an artistic director that I think before you were head of casting, if I'm not mistaken? Or
I was head of the casting and booking office, so it was more organizing the team, sending them out to the venues, organize everything that was organization. But the creative decisions were made by Werner Bus. And now I am making the creative decisions. I'm deciding which kind of shows we make, who directors we work with, which artists are taken in the show. So now the creative part is more mine, and the organization part is more part of the team. So now I'm really in the crucial part of the shows.
okay.
The hot seat.
It's fun.
Yay. Thank you.
I have a question in the chat very quickly before I go over to Rachel, and that is, how does it work for international artists? Do you help with the visa process, housing, this type of thing? And then there's a part 2, but I'll let you answer that one first.
We do not pay traveling costs. So you are on your own when it comes to coming to our theaters. From that point on, when you're there, we take you under our wings. So we have apartments in every city we have theaters in, where you can live for free. You don't have to pay for anything, not energy or internet or anything. This is all for free. We give it to you. We do help with the visa process, but it's still your responsibility. But we do help because we have connections. We have a wonderful colleague, Valentina. She has been doing visa for so many years. She knows everyone, and she is just great. People from other companies call her to ask her advice. So she's just amazing, and she is helping with the visa process big time. And usually it then works because she knows the people. We offer, because we know that you need strength to do your shows. So when we do have double shows, we offer a small catering between the shows. So you have something to regain some strength. We offer, of course, drinks all the time backstage. And we have in every theater an artist relation manager who takes care of the everyday problems, like in my apartment, the washing machine is not working, I need a doctor's appointment or whatever. And then when there's the bigger topics, as I said before, you still have your production manager who sits not in the theater you're performing in, but in Hanover, but you can contact him if you need any more advice or help with anything. So yes, we help you with everything. It's just that DOP doesn't pay your travel to the venue.
Very clear. Okay, one more from the chat, and then I'll migrate over to a couple of hands. More artistically focused question. In addition to a host, do you also cast clown-based artists?
Yes, we do. With pleasure. We need a clown. GOP shows are always a mix of comedy, artistics, sometimes magic, everything. Comedy is a very, very big part in all of our shows. So every show has either, if the host is a comedian, then we sometimes don't need a special comedian. But if it's a special comedy, for example, if the host pursues a way of comedy that we are sure that not everybody will get, then we give him a comedy sidekick. So the sidekick can catch those who didn't follow the comedy line of the host. So in every show we have comedy, and it really depends who is the host or what is our story, what kind of comedy we add then. But yes, comedy is a big part, and we need it in every show.
Amazing. Let's keep going. We have a thank you for that response, by the way, and off to Rachel.
Hi, Sandra. I'm just curious if there are any resources or somewhere to go where artists can find out about upcoming casting opportunities, or if it's really just about making that first introduction, sending in an email, trying to get in touch in some way, and then continuing to follow up with that.
We don't do open castings. There's no special time where we open for casting for specific shows. It's more that a new idea arises, and then I make up my mind, okay, who do I know who could fit that idea? And if I know people already, then they come to my mind, and I discuss it with the stage director if he follows me in this direction. And then I research my emails and what I have gotten in the past, or I know that in the next 2 weeks I will be at a festival, and then I keep my eyes open for specific positions that I want to look for the show. Even when I go to Paris, for example, I send a mail to my team and I say, okay, give me all open positions we still have to set for the upcoming shows. And then I can keep my eye open, not only with the artists performing on that stage in Paris, but also the ones, because as you know, Paris is a big market for artists. I meet so many people. And then when I have in mind, I'm looking for a specific person, and then I meet that person in Paris, even backstage or in the foyer or somewhere, that always helps. So there is no time when we open a casting for a specific show. But sometimes, and I encourage you to follow our Facebook page, there we put up the casting calls if there are any, but those are usually last minute ones. But if somebody cancels last minute, or we need something to be replaced, this is always good to follow. Not much is happening on that Facebook page beyond this. We still want to professionalize that. But casting calls are always being found on Facebook, GOP Show Concept. And open casting, we usually don't do.
So I can insert here that we would welcome those same last minute casting calls on CircusTalk, because that is exactly where people are checking in for those maybe occasionally unexpected calls, if not the broadcasting call, certainly the need this in a minute type of opportunity. So that's my little plug for you, Sandra. I'm going to transition over to Layla. Sorry, I'm not sure how to say that. You can say it yourself. And then I will ask Wendy's question. And then we're closing in on our hour. So after that, I'll probably have time for like one more.
Okay. Hi, it's Layla. And for me, I'm new in the variety industry because I'm coming more as a dancer and aerialist from cruise ships. So obviously there were always productions kind of done, but I've also created my own acts. So my question here is, does it make sense to, if you offer an act up that you say, hey, I really love my act the way it is, but I would be open also if you like the style, that I would change up the music or change some things to the act. So does that help, or is that not really helpful? I don't know, maybe that's a weird question.
It's a wonderful question, because that happens a lot when people are working on cruise ships, that they send us emails and they say, I am an aerialist. I'm not going to send you a video because I will do the act according to what you need. And this doesn't help at all. But if you send a video with your performance and you say, but I'm open for any style that you would recommend that fits the show, that always helps. But we book acts that are already there, and then we can make little changes, but we don't create acts. So it's different to what cruise ships do. There you work according to the concept, but we book existent acts and only do little changes in the costume, in the music, or we recommend to change a movement, but not the whole act. So yes, please let us know if you're open to change the act according to the concept, but still add a video so we can see the quality.
All right, because that was just my main question, because over the past time I've created my own acts, but then I was never quite sure, well, maybe I really like that, but it's maybe a very specific niche. So I was like, okay, does it make sense to write? I would be open to change little things to fit the concept depending a bit better, because it's very,
If it's something in the niche, then you maybe could think about just creating something more likely, more normal, and then add both videos and say, okay, this is my artistic power and this is the way I am performing it, and then we can just see where it goes.
All right, perfect. That answers a lot of my questions. Thank you so much, Sandra.
Here's one from the chat, and then I would invite one final question before we wrap it up for today. And the chat question is, there are many times in the websites of the Varieté, and arguably most companies perhaps, there's no contact email for casting. There's no obvious way to contact someone. So what's the magic secret?
The problem is that a company's goal to make a website is usually to sell tickets. So it's very easy to find where to book your tickets, but it's hard for artists to find where they can apply. With us, it is at the very bottom, it's GOP show concept, and there it says, if you want to apply as an artist, please send your email to showconcept@varieté.de. There's no secret, I believe. I think if you want to know how to apply, you either go on Facebook and say, where can I send my application to? You go see the website if you see somebody from the casting, or even if you check just somebody, say, listen, I'm lost. I don't know where to send my application at. Can you please help me? So just send it to anyone, but make sure you really researched before. Make sure that nobody can say it was just laziness. Because with us, there is an email for artist application. It's a distribution email where it goes to all casting and booking office. It's showconcept@varieté.de. But in general, everybody will help you. They're all humans. What you please should not do, especially in our company, send it to every theater, because they will all forward it to us and we will receive your email 7 times.
And I would go one degree of extension to that. Within a company, really make the effort to target your message. You do not need to pepper spray it across every living soul who has an email address at that company. That does tend to grate a little. So again, it's work. This whole job, getting work is work. And the great thing is, as I hope you're understanding, once you do make contact and you reach out and you put the expectation on yourself and not the receiver, so many people want to help you. Like really everybody in these roles wants to see you succeed. Okay, we've actually hit our hour. So if there's not another pressing hand up, because I think I have no fresh hands.
Two, I see, or they haven't been taken down.
Oh, I have one. Okay, Sarah.
Hi. This is a quick personal question. As a tight wire walker, rigging can be kind of difficult, and theaters and companies are not really interested in that. So is that something that you can rig, do rig, and are looking for tight wire acts?
We do tight wire acts. We can rig, but it really depends on how you need it to be rigged. So it's in this case, you would please add your technical requirements, and then we can see if it works. Usually it's checked by our technical director then if it works or not.
I love that question and answer. It's a little selfish, but I have to tell you, if you do have specific needs, it's so helpful to put them right out front. Answer the questions before they're asked. It's really, really great. That comment about putting your tech specs out, gold. Let people know what it is that you need, and then that's how the fit happens. Amazing. Okay. Well, I mean, I feel like I could chat forever, and Sandra, you've been just amazing. I do hope that we will get to see one another in Paris.
Yes, we do.
Let's see if we can't find time to grab a coffee. And I'd like to thank you very much in person on behalf of CircusTalk and also everybody here participating. So thanks so much. Really, really, really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Again, I know I'm sort of preaching to the choir, but we're very grateful to have you guys as members of CircusTalk, and as pro members particularly. We are here to help serve you. So do stay in touch with us as well. Let us know what you need. I love this idea that we're bringing industry professionals to the forefront. We are leveling the playing field, demystifying the casting process, and we want you to be very active in our database. Make sure your profiles are up to date and looking awesome. So that brings us to the conclusion of this month's Pro Talk. And again, very special thanks, Sandra Wawer, Artistic Director of GOP.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for all the wonderful questions. It was really, really fun.